It costs you time, and it's like, but it's the only way to build a real business and maintain a real reputation. Because quick money is evil money, because you're shortcutting individuals, you're hurting people, and you're not staying true to your faith.
Awesome, brother. What's going on, man?
Not much. Yourself?
Nothing much, man.
Let's
Thank you
go.
so much for being on the podcast, man.
Yeah. Thank you for
So,
having
bro,
me.
I see you almost everywhere, bro. You're always on my feeds.
Yeah.
And the sad part was I wasn't following you, man.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like that though.
It's like I see the feed and
Yeah.
I see you. You know, you record, you do your podcast over there at the Move
Yeah.
with Drew.
Yeah.
Awesome person. And bro, how long you been doing that, man?
The podcast, I want to say, was November of 2021 or 2022. I know it's
Damn.
coming on either 3+ years.
So that's
I would imagine.
before COVID, or right?
Right after COVID.
Right
Probably a year
after
after
COVID.
COVID. Yeah, so a year after COVID. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, year after COVID.
So
Maybe a
what
year and a half
what
after
drew
COVID.
you to do podcasting?
So I was involved in a franchise insurance company, and I knew that I didn't have any like ownership over the business that I was building. And I was,
Right.
I built a very successful and a large team in the space that I was involved in, but I knew it wasn't necessarily mine. And I remember hearing about a gentleman, I think named Mr. Beast, really kind of inspired me in regard to monetizing attention. So I think I really loved talking to people. I've always been a curious individual. I love talking to people. I loved hearing people's stories, their cultures, and their what they overcame, what they went through in life. And I think there was a combination of that and Joe Rogan. Like I've just always, I think since like I was a senior in high school, I think I was always listening to Joe Rogan, if not even younger. So I was like, I started to hear Joe Rogan got this $100 million deal and this, that, and the other. And I was like, what business would I build? I'm building this insurance business. I put my whole life into this, and I couldn't think of anything. And I was like, you know what? I'll do a podcast. Cause when you're young and not even young, when you're chasing and building a business, you don't want to have too much diversification in your time.
Right.
So I needed something that paralleled my pursuit, and marketing is the foundation to every business. So I don't even look at it as like a podcast. I look at myself, and I imagine you look at yourself as like more like marketing companies, with like a legitimate offer, because you have a platform and your platform has value because it has attention. So, and then it's just kind of measuring the quantity and the quality of that attention. But it all started with that, what is going to be mine? What can transcend, everything, and I can have full ownership over. So
That's awesome. I think a lot of people don't get into this understanding that before you get into something, I think you need to have a vision. I think you had that vision already established. And a lot of people, when they come in and they want to start a podcast, I always try to, coach them on that. It's like, that's the first question I ask. What is your vision?
yeah,
And it's like, if you don't have a vision, you don't have a purpose for this, it's not going to go nowhere.
yeah,
So, it's not just about just having a conversation or putting content out there. You're really telling a story and trying to understand that person's story, because stories, for some reason, impact my life for some reason. I just love it. In the same way as you, I love listening to people's transformation.
yes,
Like, how in the world did you get from this point to that point?
yeah,
And it encourages other people to take the initiatives to change their lives. And I think that's what happened to you. You heard a podcast, you saw other people doing it, and you're like,
yeah.
that's something that I can do as well. So what was your upbringing like? Like, where were you born?
Yeah, so I've got to do better at. I used to just glorify the adversity and not glorify the actual, I don't know, good things that my parents actually installed and got me involved in. But at a young age, I'll start with being born. I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas. So I was born in the South, raised on a little farm. We raised horses, Tennessee Walkers to be exact. Yeah. And my parents split up when I was young. I was about 6 years old. My mom was from Pennsylvania. We went back to Pennsylvania with her temporarily, and she had gotten into a little bit of trouble. Both my parents did, but she went away first. So she went away when I was about 7 years old. It was like roughly a year, not even, she says, but then there was custody court
Mm.
So it ended up being like a year and a half, 2 years that she was away from me. In that meantime, my dad took my little sister, and I back to Arkansas, and he had me involved in every sport. We were wrestling, playing football. He was the coach for everything, and it was you're gonna work first and play later, and we had a lot of fun. He was very today he would be labeled as like an abusive dad, because it
Mm.
was like go get the switch, you know what I mean, type of deal. This the
Mm.
switch, like the branch,
Okay.
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Go get a
yeah.
switch. If you talk back, everything was yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, and
Was
but
he military or?
you know what, he actually did serve in the Navy
Okay.
for a couple years, and but just a super hardcore dad. His dad was hardcore on him, so when I was
Hmm.
growing up, and we didn't necessarily have a relationship for a large piece of my life, but the time that we did with both parents, they did some great things. They made some mistakes, but they did some great things. And one thing he got me exposed to was he was hustling and finding ways to make money, and got caught up and got into some trouble. That's why my mom went away. Then he would go away. But I remember being on a private jet, a small little private jet, when I was 9 or 10 years old,
Wow.
and then one day I wake up, and it's just like reliving with my mom getting into those black SUVs all over again. And like I never seen my dad cry. It was the type of household, it's like there's no crying, there's no weakness. You fight to the death type of mindset. Very
Wow.
extreme. He was a very extreme. And we'd watch like Scarface and 300
Damn.
and everything, like at a young age. And but I remember him waking up one day and crying and telling me, pack your toys. You know what I mean? I got to go away. And then he went away, and we never really reconnected until probably a couple of years ago. So I'm 26 now. Yeah. So
So when you say
22,
when he went
23.
away, what do you mean? When
They
he
both they both did federal time.
they did federal time?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they both did federal time.
Wow.
So mom was again a little under a year. My dad was like 5 and a half,
Mhm.
and it was just a disconnect from there. And we tried a couple times to connect, but I was a bad kid. He got out when I was 16, and again I was already too angry at the time,
Mm.
and I had given my life to the Lord when I was 12. Met a phenomenal youth pastor. It's her birthday today, so
Oh
shout out to
wow!
Sheena.
Shout out. Okay.
Yeah,
Happy
so we
birthday.
still we're still in touch today, and that would probably be the first angel that God kind of put into my life and started pouring the word of God into me. And I was always a prodigal son, you know what I mean, like
Wow.
in the church, out of the church, in the
At the
church,
church.
out of the church,
Hey.
and then just kind of torn between wanting to be a cool kid and where to
Mhm.
fit in, and being exposed to some wealth. And then when my parents went away and my mom got out,
All
it
that
was
was taken
all that
away.
was taken away. It was
Yeah.
food
Well,
stamps.
yeah. When you say you were a bad kid, like, what do you mean by that? When you were a bad kid,
I
like,
was
how
kicked
does
out
that?
of every school.
Hmm.
So I was fully expelled by 16 years old, like full police expulsion for fighting. I was selling drugs. I had a high point 45 at 16 years old. I never shot it, but kept this pistol underneath my pillow. I just wanted to be a gangster. I wanted to be a thug. I wanted to be tough. And I was just angry. And I think really the root of the anger was actually pain. You know what I mean? Like it was the absence of the love of
Right.
my parents, and the what I would have, well, what I've, God has, grown me out of over the years is that, relationship type of anxiety. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like I'm a very extreme individual because people that I love were stripped away from me. But praise God, they're alive. I've met people where
Sure.
their parents died when they were young.
Yeah.
I just lost my friend, my best friend growing up. She just passed away last year from
Oh man.
leukemia, 26 years old with two
Sorry to
daughters.
hear that.
So it's like God is good. Life is precious. Life
Yeah.
is so precious, but it helps me keep things in perspective
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Because when you're saying these things, it's like reminding me of my story as well. Because
Yeah.
it's like there's certain things that I did at a very early age, and it was because of the circumstance. My father as well got locked up too, and we ended up losing a lot of things. We weren't rich,
Yeah.
but same kind of scenario. And somebody brought this attention to me one time, and he said, there's certain things that he did that weren't necessarily because he wanted to be that way.
Yeah.
It was the circumstances that he was put into.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt, because I wasn't, I started gang banging at 13 to 14, selling
I
drugs.
sucked so bad at gangbanging.
No, me too.
I was the
We
most
had a crew.
non-profitable
Yeah, yeah.
gangbanger.
You know what I'm saying? So, I started selling drugs at 13 to
Yeah.
14, so I was making good money on that.
Yeah.
So it's like this situation you're put in.
Yeah.
And it's like, when I look back, it's like, that's not who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
But because of the circumstances, I was like kind of forced, or I had to basically pretend
Yeah.
to be that person,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's
yeah.
not the person I really wanted to be,
Yeah.
you know? And, just growing out of that and because of good mentors and,
That's all it is.
I think I was 18 when I gave my life to God and,
Yeah.
but I was in Brazil. But yeah, man, it's kind of similar to what you're
Are
saying.
you
It's like
Brazilian?
flashback. Yeah, man, my parents are from Brazil.
So do you speak a little? Is it?
Portuguese, yeah, follow. Yeah.
But it's a little different. What do I know? Bom dia or
Bom dia.
bom dia. I
Yeah,
think
bom
that.
dia.
And I've
Tudo
done
bem?
Brazilian jiu jitsu for the last
Hey,
four or
there you
five
go, man.
years.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
man. I know one of the top ones here, Cyborg,
Yeah, yeah,
by
yeah. I
Sports.
did a podcast with Wagner Rocha. You probably know
Hey,
him.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
Super dope. Super
Yeah.
dope. Yeah, yeah. That's all in the family. Dr. D
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Bauhax
the
and all that
Brazilian.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. So
awesome.
there's a Brazilian community here.
Yeah,
Yeah. But that's dope, man. Yeah. But so when you're telling me these things, I'm like, man, there's so many similarities
yeah.
there. When you were growing up. So do you give your life to God and then you have your ups and downs in the
Yeah.
church and stuff like that. How does that work?
I'm so fascinated with how good God is
Mm,
because I think something I always go back to is you were saved by grace through faith, not through obedience. And I was even reading this morning.
mm,
I always read the daily verse and then I fully blow it out because I
right.
feel like a loser Christian if I just read the daily
You have
verse.
to.
I got to read the whole chapter.
Can
It
you
makes
can
me
you
feel,
share that again, please?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's
yeah,
important. I want people to
yeah,
understand that
yeah,
because I was a Bible teacher. I'm still a Bible teacher
yeah,
for a very long time. I think that's very important. I always tell people, don't just read a verse. It sounds nice,
yeah.
but get the whole picture,
Yeah.
understand the concept, everything there.
I think you do yourself a disservice because as humans, I think if you were to break it down scientifically, I think when we lack familiarity, we lack confidence. So because we're not
Wow.
familiar with the word of God, that's why people are like, I don't understand this version. What are you posting? What is this? And what is that? I was like, listen, this is the New Living New Living Translation. This
Yeah.
isn't even King James or even the you think if you go back to biblical times or
Sure.
written in like Hebrew or whatever,
Mhm.
Aramaic. So I always tell myself when I'm feeling lazy and it's like, this is my portal or my segue to communicate with God
Mhm.
and understand who he is and to be reminded on like a full meal. Like you don't eat when you wake up and just eat a little appetizer and that's
Right.
what serves you for the day. You have to nourish yourself,
That's right.
so it's like and when I really think of it like as a Christian and as a believer, like I got to nourish my soul because my soul is the compass to my entire existence. So a lot of people, they think it's like as a man thinks, so is he, and I'm more so as a man faith, so is he. Like where
Wow.
your faith lies,
Yeah.
I think is where your future lies because your faith is, I think, is the predecessor to your thoughts because that's what you're like subconsciously like believing in,
Mhm.
So that would be the preforming whatever's forming your actual life. So,
Yeah.
and it's like a muscle, you got to feed it, you got to work it. And it's like people pray for the blessing, but they don't realize, well, God's going to give you the burden to actually,
Oh man. Yeah.
grow the faith to receive the blessings. So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
Again, it's like that. Always share with people: be careful what you pray to God, because God
Yeah.
is He's gonna take that literal and He's gonna take it serious.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be moments in your life that He's gonna put you in situations where you're like, man, why am I going through this? Well,
Yeah.
because you asked for it, and God is gonna prepare you to receive that gift, but you have to go through that.
Yeah.
And it does it, and I always try to show people: don't look at things always in a negative format. Because sometimes when you look at something, you're like, man, this is so negative. This is so bad. Well, is it really bad? Is it what you're creating in your mind that it's negative? Or can it be that God is allowing you to go through this because he's pruning you? Because God talks about
Yeah.
pruning.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And pruning kind of really looks terrible.
Yeah.
I've always, whenever I saw gardeners just trimming the trees and cutting the branches, I'm like, bro, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
It's like you're making the tree look ugly. He's like, no, 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 I'm making the tree stronger.
Yeah.
So a lot of times God is going to prune and he's going to take certain things out of our lives, but it's necessary for us to bear fruit.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose. So again, I think us getting closer to God through his word, building a solid foundation, really understanding who he is. Because I always ask the question, like if I asked you the question, do you love Jesus? You're going to be like, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an automatic response. Who's going to say no?
Yeah.
Right? For believers. But I always throw the other question, because Jesus asked Peter the same question 3 times. He says, Peter, do you love me?
Yeah.
Do you love me? And Peter got really upset. He got really sad on the third one, because you have to ask that question to yourself. Do you truly know Jesus
Mm.
to the point where you do actually love him.
Yeah.
And you're only going to have that real authentic love if you go through the trials, you're building a relationship with God on a daily basis, and then just it's that process.
Mm.
You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs, you're going to have your, but you're solid in Christ, you
Yeah.
know? So you growing up at that age is just like, you're 16, 17, you're building that relationship, but you must have your ups and downs, right?
Yeah, 1,000%, bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. In and out of it, in and out of it, in and out of it. And then I feel like the real consistency started around 18, 19 years old when simultaneously I found life insurance. I was in college for 2 weeks. I was in an HBCU in Arkansas trying to reconnect with my dad for literally 2 weeks. And I was just praying, listening to worship music every night and
Mm.
just asking God to help me. And what's crazy is like when you stop looking at the world from your lens and you try to look at it from a general lens, and you typically can only do that when you look back, because when you're in the midst of it, everything's like the end of the world,
Yeah.
and then when you look back, it's like, oh, that was just a season in my life. You know what I
Mm.
mean? That was an opportunity. And so it's like, it's funny because like opportunities are only opportunities when you reflect. In the midst of an opportunity, it's the end of the world, you know? And so, yeah, for me, I was like, it was the end of the world. It was the end of my life and it was horrible. But as I reflect, I'm like, it's still such a blessing to be in the position that I was in, to be in America, not to be in literally any other country.
Right.
The advantages there, physically, mentally, spiritually, in every aspect of life that can be measured. So, I mean, it was crazy, it was the ups and downs, the volatility. It was all more so internal than it was external. Like explaining my story, my adversities to anybody, even people that are in America. I've got friends that have lost parents at a young age or siblings and
Sure.
whatever it might be at a young age or unfortunately children. So, and to think myself like comparison, like that's not a God game. I think that's kind of like a devil game. I think
Mm.
my girl shared something this morning, like comparison is the tool of the devil, where, I feel like God doesn't deal in comparisons.
Yeah.
He just deals in compassion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with you. The whole comparison thing is something that I always try to, encourage people not don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't compare yourself. You every person in this world is so different, and that's why when somebody says, I just lost somebody. Oh, I know what you're going through. No, you
Yeah.
don't know what I'm going through.
Yeah.
My relationship with my mother, let's say,
Yeah.
was probably different from your relationship. So the loss is going to be different.
Yeah.
The feeling is going to be different. So
Yeah.
when we tend to kind of compare ourselves and say, hey, I know. Now the experience is still the same,
Yeah.
but the feeling is different.
Absolutely.
So that's why we have to be a little bit more, I wouldn't say sensitive, but we have to try to understand that, hey, um, your upbringing is different. And that's why I always encourage people, tell your story. Oh, but that person's doing the same thing. It don't matter
Yeah.
because that person's story is completely different. Now, we saw similarities between me and you, but I guarantee you when you go down and you peel the layers, there's a lot more to the story than
Yeah.
just the similarities. Hey, we did drugs. Yeah, we did drugs. Yeah, our parents got locked up. Yeah, parents got locked up. But there's so much more to the story.
Yeah.
So that's why I encourage people, tell your story. It doesn't matter because everyone is different.
Mm.
So don't compare yourself. So I like that. I like that you're putting that in. So, how old are you, man?
26.
Wow, you're super young, bro. Damn.
Feel old.
Yeah, man. I probably look your age too, man.
Yeah.
Probably like,
You got a young
don't be
vibe.
laughing back there.
You
People
got a
laughing
very
back
young
there.
vibe. I know. You hear people laughing.
Yeah, man. I'm 42. Yeah, I'm going to go 43 this year. Damn.
When's the
43.
birthday?
April
April.
the 4th, man.
Okay.
Damn, man.
Let's go.
Yeah. But it's so amazing because when I see when I was at your age, I think I was a missionary for 9 years. So at that time I was doing
Yeah.
missionary work and stuff like that. But it's so dope to see like somebody at your age doing what you're doing when it comes to like, being an entrepreneur, business. And bro, ever since I took the step to being an entrepreneur, man, it has challenged me in so many different ways
Yeah.
that I could have never imagined.
Yeah.
Never. So you've always been an entrepreneur, always
I guess
business.
in a sense, you know what I mean? Or from my my pharmaceutical entrepreneurship and
That's
growing
true.
up,
That's
and
true, man. We can't take that
yeah,
out of the resume.
and then transitioning straight into life insurance. But I worked at my first job was Chick-fil-A. It was my first
Chick-fil-A,
W-2
okay.
job at I think 15. I think they hired me, and I got fired. And I remember calling them and telling them I wasn't coming in
Yeah,
because
you got fired from
I got
Chick-fil-A?
yeah. But here's funny because I remember telling them I was going to I was at church and I like wanted to work a church event instead of going to Chick-fil-A for my
Hold on, don't they don't open on Sundays.
I used to go to like youth, like when I was on
Oh, okay,
church,
I got you.
when I
Okay.
was involved.
All right, all right.
So I literally was a prodigal
Yeah,
son, bro.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
when I
yeah.
was involved, I was working in the church. I was working cameras. I was,
That's awesome.
I was there 24/7. Like I like lived at the church.
Mm.
And then if I was off, then I was off, So yeah, I remember getting fired for that. And then I went into UPS and I worked there from like 16 to like almost 18.
Yeah.
And that was loading 53-foot trailers. That was probably the hardest job I ever had. Like very intense labor. And then I did on and off work with my best friend growing up, and he was Italian. They had a restaurant, and his dad was like a good old fashioned Italian dude, just nuts, and kind of like a good father figure in the period of time that my pops wasn't there. So learned a lot of just hard work and integrity and good values from him. So
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. What is the biggest lesson you've learned, being an entrepreneur, taking you're on a different phase right now. So you know exactly where you want to go, right? Your business, you have a little bit more
Yeah.
vision of where you want to go. Like what's the biggest lesson you've learned?
I think the biggest lesson that I've learned in entrepreneurship, and I think everybody, like the sooner everybody gets it into their mind, heart, and soul, and their entire fabrication, their whole business will completely change exponentially. And it's just you have to build everything around love. It's a super simple lesson, and everybody wants to bring a lot of complexity to their business and to their product, services, distribution, to staff. Like, well, we need to have this meeting, we need this data, we need this person, we need this service, this product. But if you do it all, and like the Bible just gives you all these answers, like do all these things, but you do it without love, then what do we have? So it's
Love
like
it.
when you really dissect the best businesses, like if you think of what's your favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurant?
Yeah, where's your favorite place to eat?
Damn. That's a good one, man. My favorite place, man. It has to be some Peruvian, bro. I love Peruvian food, man.
Peruvian? Do you have
Yeah,
a specific restaurant in mind?
Bro, I'm gonna
Like in
just say it out
Miami?
here, man. But this is like the chain one, La Granja, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I try to reference here, like when I'm thinking of other humans, is there's got to be some type of interaction when you spend your money and you're giving your money
Sure.
to another business. There's got to be something where it's like the quality of the product doesn't matter as much as the quality of the people that you're doing business with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like to bring that level of quality, it is not because you got some type of phrase from a sales book and it taught you how to persuade someone to do this, or because you have some staff member that has some spreadsheet, or you've got some technology that does the X, Y, and Z. It's the intimacy that we exchange,
I love
this
it.
genuine intimacy that's like, hey, I'm just going to give you value and I don't expect anything in return. Like I'm going to go above and beyond in value that I give you.
Mhm.
And that's it.
I
And it's
love
like
it.
it's right in front of everybody's face. Gary Vee had a book on it. Jab, 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 right hook.
Mhm.
Hormozy talks about it. My mentor Eric Spofford talks about it. Like give, 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 and then keep giving and keep giving, keep giving. And nobody really likes that route though, because it costs you everything. It costs you
does.
energy. It costs you
Time.
finances. It costs you time. And it's like, but it's the only way to build a real business and maintain a real reputation, because quick money is evil money, because you're shortcutting individuals, you're hurting people, and you're not staying true to your faith.
Yeah,
So
man. I love that, man. Everything you're saying, man, is just resonating with me, and what we believe in here in the studio and Creative Currency is, it's all about the service that we provide.
Yes.
And one of the main things for us is, I always have a saying here for the company is, our business is to create content, but our mission is to present Christ to people.
Yeah.
And it's not, that people come in here and we're over there to just like, sticking the Bible in people's
Yeah.
faces, but it's through our actions, it's how we treat people, and it's how we do service.
Yeah.
Right. And that for me is very important. And again, I always share this with people. It's a long process. It's like what you said, because it's a lot of time you give in. You do want to give attention to people. And there's going to be moments that you're going to spend more time with people than you probably can.
Yeah.
And there's moments that I'm mentoring somebody, I'm counseling somebody, and we're spending time in prayer, but it's all worth it, man.
Yeah.
It is phenomenal when we're able to impact somebody's life, because the moment we impact that person's life, you know, and again, it's an amazing side effect that occurs. If I'm able, I might meet. Tell you the truth, I might not be the person that's going to reach 1 million people. I'm not trying to be negative or anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if my podcast is going to be able to reach 1 million people. If it does, praise God. But if I can impact your life,
Yeah.
just just impact your life, you might be that person.
Yeah.
You might be the Elisha in the Bible,
Yeah.
right? Elisha did a lot more work than Elijah. Elijah was the main prophet, but Elisha did a lot more work than Elijah in the Bible. So it's just about doing what God has called you to do.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the service that we provide is so important, and it's beyond the means of money.
Yes.
Money is just a
It's a
tool. It's
byproduct.
just it's a byproduct. That's basically it. You know, so what you're saying is so true. You know, the service needs to be the most important thing that we serve. And I think here in Miami, you know, just getting your thoughts in here. What do you see happening here in Miami? Because Miami's becoming this place, and the more you talk to people, it's growing
Yeah.
super fast,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of new money here.
Yes.
And there are people that come first. They you know, they have good intentions. You know, they want to have a relationship with God, but then you start seeing the money becoming more of the the objective.
Yeah.
You know, what do you see happening in Miami when it comes to the lifestyle, spirituality? What do you see happening?
So Miami's just magnifying what's happening and what's always happened. And you think of it like growing up on a farm where there's crap, there's flies. And so there's a lot of shiny, crap here that brings a lot of flies. So like,
Oh man,
you know
damn.
what I mean? Like I was gonna make, I was so crazy you asked this question. I was gonna make like a little skit last night on my story and bring out the whiteboard and tell people there's typically 4 areas of work. And it's all like social media just has us thinking that things are more relevant or they're newer now. I think it's probably always been like this. I don't think anything's probably new. I think we just have media that exposes everything in real time.
Yeah.
But when I look at Miami, but I also think of the world, I think there's 4 areas to make money in Miami, and the first one would be sales. I feel like there's probably maybe 9% of people are in sales in Miami,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got 45% of, and your sales guys are all yappers, similar to me, probably similar to you, gift of gab. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? We
yeah.
can sell, we can persuade, but they're not. They're just looking for a quick buck. They're making maybe 100 to 500, maybe a really good one making a mill, and then you've got your OnlyFans people, and they're just completely of like. It's unfortunate because it's like it doesn't matter, guy or girl. Like it's like, oh, we're giving up on skills. We're just gonna sell our
Yeah.
body. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
the unfortunate. Yeah.
yeah. And so it's like I'd say that's 45% of Miami, and 45% of the world's like, what do you do? I'm an OnlyFans. Okay, go over there and give me the hand sanitizer.
Right.
And the other 45% I would say is coaches. Everybody's a coach of coaches. Hey, we're going to coach you on coaching other
Yep.
coaches on how to coach coaches. And everybody will be waking up at 2 a.m. and going to bed at 1 a.m. And that's how you're going to get rich. And then that's 99% of people. And then you got your 1% of builders that are building and they're putting in the work and they're legitimate like humans. It's not that people are illegitimate. It's just, it's out of insecurity that we want to fit into the pile of crap and the
Yeah.
shiny because we want to impress people that could care less. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks that everybody cares. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? Like there's a very small percentage of people that are going to show up to your funeral and be actually impacted by your loss for years on end. You know what I mean? Like most of the people, if they do show up to your funeral, they'll, walk by. That was they were nice. He was nice. She was nice. And they'll be like, is there any food at the funeral?
Mm.
What are we like within 5, 10, 15
Right,
minutes?
right.
And you spent X, Y, Z, years of your life sacrificing your body, sacrificing your morals, sacrificing your character to try to shortcut and try to impress and do this and do that. Where it's like, you- like if this short finite amount of time of life that we actually have is a game, and God blessed us with this opportunity for us to be the artist. I feel like God's so unique because He was the artist that created this, and it's almost like He created this this art where He created little miniature artists within. Like imagine that. Like imagine you went to an art studio and some artist was able to design some type of art where there was miniature artists within designing. So it's like if we're miniature artists and we can design this life and we only get one shot, one opportunity, and you choose the shortcut, you choose to use crowns when you could have used the chisel and made some beautiful marble
Yeah,
statue. It's gonna cost you 20 years. Yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna cost you 30 years. Yeah, it's gonna cost you your whole life.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But like you just wanted to play around with the crowns for every 4 or 5 years and jump onto the next new shiny thing, the next new thing. So it's like to each their own. It's all a matter of like I was telling people yesterday, like if you defer risk, then what you'll do is defer reward because they go in hand with one another. So you can have an easier life, but just know you'll have less reward
Mm.
when it comes to entrepreneurship. But when you assume risk and you defer ego, because when you defer risk, you elevate ego because
Mm.
you're saying like I'm too good.
Yeah,
I don't want to assume any risk.
right.
I just want to find the short run. But when you assume the risk, you actually elevate your humility and say, I'm going to live on the couch for 3 years. I grossed $1 million as a franchise owner in the insurance industry and lived on the couch. You know what I mean? All the money was going back in building another business. And it's like, never was I ever had an issue being transparent about the money that I lost. You know what I mean? Everybody talks
Right.
about, I did this and I bought this. It's like, dude, I've lost. I've made a lot of money, but I've lost a lot of money and I'm still figuring
Absolutely.
it out.
Yep.
But that's the real route of the people I resonate with that are worth way more money than any of the sales guys, the
Mhm.
coaches, the OnlyFans people. And I don't know, then you got your W2ers, but those 1%ers, they're just cool being humble forever. Like, yeah, I lost. I
Yeah.
lost out on that deal. I lost out on that deal. That
Yeah.
relationship, it didn't work out. That business relationship didn't work out, but I'm still here and I learned what not to do.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's like assume the risk and elevate your humility, or defer the risk and elevate your ego and live a life of less. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it doesn't happen any other way.
Yeah, I think that makes a difference, right? When you have again, we go back to the vision part, right? Because um, God created us in His image,
Yes.
and the issue today is that our image is being based on what we see. So our eyes are being focused on social media or whatever. Oh, you know
Yeah.
what? Oh, look at Tristan. Look what he's doing. You know what? I can be just like him, and I want to be just like him.
Yeah.
And the moment you do that, and it goes back to that comparison part,
Yeah.
right? God created us in His image, and God is going to give you, God has given us spiritual gifts.
Yeah.
The only way you can tap into that if you're connected with God and you understand your purpose. And then when you understand your purpose, that vision, regardless of what you're going to go through, and that's where being humble, finding yourself in moments where, hey, I lost it all.
Yeah.
I'm in this situation because regardless of what you're going through in the middle, the outcome is already there. It's, hey, I already see what's coming.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Nothing is going to take us away from that vision.
Yeah.
Nothing, because we have our trust completely in God, and that's what makes the difference between, someone that has God in the center, and then someone that's just basically focused on the wrong image.
Yeah.
You're just focusing on what that person is driving, what that person has in their bank account. That's not going to do anything for you.
Yeah.
You're not going to live your purpose. That's going to die out. So I think, again, going back to, what I've learned being an entrepreneur, I'm telling you, I was a missionary for so many years. I've seen so many different things in my life, experienced so many crazy things. But for some reason, being an entrepreneur has chipped at me in such a way that I've never experienced.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I've never questioned myself on this. I've never been challenged on this point, where, I was just talking to God today about this. I was like, I'm going through a phase in my business. And I'm like, Lord, if you're allowing this to happen because you need to chip at things and you need to change things in my life, let it be.
Yeah.
But again, I'm focused on the outcome.
Yeah.
There's a vision there. So yeah, man. I mean, everything that you're touching up on is like hitting those things. So, again, you're seeing this whole change in Miami. Um, there's this spiritual revival, which I call happening. I see a lot of people interested in knowing God.
Yeah.
Is that something that you see too? Because I see like
I actually do.
politics
Yeah, I actually do.
and something happening. There's something interesting happening. What do you see?
There's a better surge in Miami from my general awareness
Yeah.
um, of people and having that faith relationship. The only thing that worries me is the 99% making it a fad of it just sounds cool. It just sounds like a virtue
Oh
signal.
man,
Like,
we're
"Oh,
gonna
this,
go into it.
this just sounds cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add this to my coaching program.
Yes.
And it's crazy because I think it was in I think it was actually the chapter I was reading in today, where it was like, you measure a man by the fruits that he produces. You
Yeah.
measure the faith by
Yeah.
like the fruits of the faith is patience and
Mhm.
kindness,
Yeah.
and passion.
Yeah, I saw
So
that
it's
post
like,
you posted. Yeah.
yeah.
That's it.
So it's like it's the fruits of every aspect of your life. So like I can kind of get an idea, and it's not like I'm so far the opposite of like a Pharisee.
Mhm.
Like I'm looking above others. I got so many friends that don't believe in something else, and it's like
Mhm.
I look at it as like this is an opportunity for me to be a reflection of
Absolutely.
who God is and who He would want me to be
Yeah.
to these individuals that don't believe. But it's like I wonder what fruits I'm producing in their life for them, that they
Yeah.
would identify me as, because I know I've definitely fallen short of the glory every day. I'm falling short and sinning, and like I just need to get better. And so but it's not a virtue signal. It's a real thing. So,
Yeah.
but I love to see the idea of people starting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I never want to be the guy that's like, oh, you're just doing it because you want to do it.
Yeah.
You don't speak in tongues, and you know what I mean. You
Yeah.
haven't read the Bible fully,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh man, like
Yeah.
they're trying. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. And
Like,
that's something important that you said there because, for us, I think whenever you put a mic or you put yourself out there, there's going to be this huge responsibility,
yeah,
right? In scripture, it talks about that, right? That teachers will be judged
yeah,
differently than
Yeah.
everyone else, right? Because when we put ourselves out there as being the teachers, basically, we're instructing people
yeah,
certain things. There comes a responsibility. So for me, I always tell this to some of the people, that I'm teaching is when you take on a leadership role, understand that you're going to be looked at in a different way. So don't expect the treatment to be the same. It's not going to
Yeah.
be the same because when you fall, they're going to come after you.
yeah,
They're not there to uplift you, but they will come after you when you fall. So they're always trying to find something in you that they can say, you know what?
yeah,
You see, this guy says that he's such a Christian and he's such a follower of God, but look what he's doing. So that's why we have to hold ourselves more accountable,
yeah,
and we have to not to try to be better than anyone else. That's
Yeah.
not the idea, but it is something that we have to make sure that we have the right people holding us accountable
yeah,
in your circle and say, hey, bro, don't go that path, man. Hey, bro, you know what? I don't think going to a strip club is going to be the best
Yeah.
thing for you, man.
yeah,
It's not going to lead to anything.
Yeah.
So make sure you have the people that are in your circle that have the same values that are going to watch over you.
Yeah.
Because the world is always ready to see you fail.
Oh, absolutely.
Always. And, and again, I always like to share things. There's things that I'm excited to see what's happening, especially here in Miami. I always like to share this. Like, there is this revival. People are
Yeah.
interested. But it's like what you said. There are many people who are going into this like an opportunity
Yeah, don't
for
be
money.
corrupt with it. Yeah,
We saw that.
yeah,
If you open scriptures, you see there was a man named Simon who
yeah,
did that.
yeah.
He was like, oh, I'm going to start saying things in the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
And he was making a profit.
yeah.
So
Or when
things that
Jesus
were-
flipped the tables.
Exactly, so
flip these tables.
there's going to be things that people are going to use for their benefit. And sometimes we have to call it out.
Yeah.
It's our responsibility. And that's what we see happening even in the political world today.
Mm.
People are just tired of all the BS.
Yeah.
They are calling it out.
I love the Department of Government Efficiency, and I feel like there should be
Doge.
I think there should be one of those departments for everything. You know what I mean?
Everything.
Like there should be a department of faith efficiency, and I think like you said,
And it's going to happen.
Churches should
It's
be
gonna
held
happen.
accountable because
Absolutely.
there's churches out there that are mollywhopping, just an excess amount of money. I believe in the tithe, but yeah, I went on a missions trip. You know what I mean? Like,
That's going to be
so I went to Lima, Peru when I was 16 years old, and I'm sitting here thinking like there should almost be like a breakdown transparently, kind of like how a public company has to break down like where all the finances and everything are going.
Absolutely.
It's like there should be a breakdown of like, yo, we're investing into the church. What are we doing for God's people? And that's just one aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that's the faith efficiency. I told people the other day, like, I'm about to make a department of sales efficiency and start exposing these sales companies that are corrupt and taking advantage of people and manipulating young sales reps. And it's like I feel like I lost a lot of money in that and lost a lot of time and energy. So I'm really big on, some of like my transparency, and like some of my favorite movies would be like relating to like the superheroes or the people that are like a Robin Hood, where it's like robbing from the poor to give back from the poor, but like really like, they're robbing from the rich to give back to the poor, like the corrupt rich. You know what I mean? Like I love the vibe that's going on right now.
I do too. I really think it's interesting what's happening, especially in our country. And I think it's going to create a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And you said something right. I think it's going to hit the churches.
Yeah.
There's going to be people that are going to question why this. And you know what was interesting, what sparked my interest in all this was before Doge.
Yeah.
Right? This was when Mr. Beast, when he went to, I think it was Africa, and he was able to, I think he drilled about 100 wells there.
Yeah.
And people crucified him for doing that he was doing it for publicity and this and that. And I was like, man, this guy took his own money. He was able, I forgot what the cost was.
Oh, he was millions of dollars.
Yeah. But it was far less than these donations, these organizations. They get all this money.
Yeah.
And they don't even do, they didn't even do half of what he was able to do. Yeah, he was able to create wells, 100 wells in this in that region, and people are crucifying him for that.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you that a lot of people, they take advantage of people's misery, make money, but don't do nothing.
People will support you as long as they get a cut.
Yeah.
As soon as you start not giving cuts to people, then it's like random hate, and everything like this starts like. It's so crazy because it makes me think back to like sales. Like there's so many, like there's relationships that I've lost because people stopped getting an override off of me, and I thought we were a family. You know what I mean? I've had people make millions of dollars off me and look me in the eye because they weren't getting an override or getting compensated off me anymore, and say we're not family. This was always business. You know what I mean? And like I was a young man coming into sales, so looking up to these older dudes as like father figures, like that's like eye opening. That's where like really kind of created that vigilante inside of me, where it's like I'm going to spend the rest of my life exposing, the corrupt individuals that aren't bringing that real energy like you talk about of like. Yeah. But everybody's, it is what it is. Like people always talk like the government's corrupt and like, they'll shut down different things. So it's like, yeah, they are. You know what I mean? Like in the sense that they are. People are like, well, with different illegitimate businesses, the government will shut them down. Well, no, because they're giving them a cut. As long as the government's getting a cut, you can pretty much, you know what I mean? I always feel like government's the biggest drug distributor in the world.
Absolutely.
As long as they get a cut. You know what I mean? Like
it's business, man. There's just so many things tied to it, right?
Literally.
So you start looking at what's happening. Again, it's, I'm not so familiar with the politics. I watch certain things. It's like we look at certain things, but it's obvious that when you see what's happening and you see the other side and they're flipping, and it's like, you would think to yourself like, okay, like if it was the opposite, I think you guys would have been praising this guy for doing this, because don't you want, and then here's the big one that I get really sidetracked on. And I'm like, this was the excuse they were giving. Oh, Elon Musk is going in there and he's getting all your private data and all that stuff. And I'm like, guys, you're not interested in in our security, in our
Yeah.
private. You guys already have access to that.
Yeah.
So to show that you're concerned about our private, and you know what? Sometimes I feel like posting this. I feel like just saying, you know what? They want access to my private data. Let them have access to it.
Yeah.
I got nothing to hide.
Yep.
When you are afraid of your privacy is because you got something to hide.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because you
Absolutely,
can't hide nothing
bro.
from God.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the only one that I fear. That's the only
Yeah.
one I should be worried about, if anything.
Yeah, literally.
So God has access to all your information. So if you're concerned about your privacy, is because you have something to hide.
Literally.
And that's basically it, man. So don't use that excuse.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So again, it's exposing so much, man. And it's making a lot of people think, even in their business, hey, you know what? Maybe I should audit my business. Maybe I should see where all the waste is going in our
Yeah.
business, So it's crazy, man. So what are your plans, man? What are your plans for your business? Why did you get into the life insurance? I'm sorry.
That was God, man. Like it literally was God. I remember withdrawing from college after 2 weeks, and my uncle driving me to the airport and telling me you should look into insurance. And he was referring to property and casualty insurance. I started researching insurance. I'm just praying and praying and praying and uploading my, high school diploma that my mom got for me on a job site called Indeed. And I must have clicked the sales tab, got an automated email from a life insurance company. It was an hour and a half away, or an hour away, I think. And I drove up there with my hair. I had my cornrows.
Oh, man. Yeah, cornrows. Okay.
Yep. Whole different situation. Instead of 150 pounds or something, graduated from high school. And just there was Maseratis in the parking lot, and it was the most money and stuff I saw around young guys. The guys were like 30 years old. And I was like, oh my God, dude, I'll do whatever. I don't care what you guys are selling. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care what you guys are doing. If it's legal, illegal, like I want involved. You know what I mean? And got my life insurance license, and my first year in insurance made $114,000.
Damn.
Just completely changed my family's trajectory, and got a long way to go still. It's like no money. You know what I mean? Like you start making money, and you realize it's like not any money. It's like, I feel like in today's economy, I feel like it costs $100,000 a day to just live.
Right.
In Miami.
No, I know.
You
man.
know what I mean? Like
it gets expensive, man. I'm telling you. It's like, I was telling someone today, I was like, I'm going to make $1 million, but once I make $1 million, by the time this inflation goes, it's like $1 million is nothing.
It's not. It literally is nothing. It literally is
nothing. It's nothing.
So yeah, the vision, like ultimately the vision is to really, cause like I never have a destination. I'm just so excited to be alive around good people. I'm so grateful my mom is alive. I've got a beautiful girl, and we'll get married this year.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's awesome. We're going to get into that. Yeah, your dude, relationship, man. That's good.
Like, I don't have I want to always do more. I always want to do better. I want to look better. I want to perform better in every aspect of my life. I want a better relationship with the people that I love. And I want a better relationship with the people that I don't know, that I don't love, that hate me. Like, I really just want to be a good dude. I really want to create a good legacy. So there's no actual, like, I want a multi-billion-dollar insurance company in the next couple of years, but like, that's not going to be enough. And it's not going to be because the lack of materials, the lack of funds. It'll be like, I'm a builder, and I'm going to build until I die.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to build.
And you're there for the journey.
I've been telling my girl marriage vows since the day we started dating. I said, I have one vow to you. It was like, I told her from day one, I was like, you're going to be the last girl I be with. And I told her from day one, I was like, I'll make one vow to you, though, because I'm not a perfect man. You know what I mean? Like, I've got so many areas to grow in, but I vow to you that I will always grow in every aspect of my life. Bro. I'm going to grow in my faith, my mind, my body, my spirit, my finances, and our relationship. I'll always grow. You know what I mean? If I upset you, I fall short, call me out, call me up, but understand, like, I will always grow. It may not happen overnight, but over time, you're going to have a whole new husband every week, every month, every year, especially as you start to measure those metrics cumulatively over time. Because, give me a couple years.
That's
awesome. I'm going to be
bro.
10 times better than I am now.
That's good, man. A lot of people will say that you're crazy, man.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't exist today, The whole idea of relationship does not exist, and
anything other than monogamy disgusts me.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, man. So yeah, that's another.
For me personally, I got friends that do whatever you know what I mean? Like, do what you want to do. But like, for me personally, my desires, and I'm respectful about it. I'm not disrespectful to anybody. That's not how my mom raised me. That's not how my dad raised me. Mm-hmm. But I'm respectful in regard to my beliefs. But like, my girl is my girl, and I'm her man, and that's my faith. That's my belief.
Absolutely. And that's how it should be, man. I think, those values, again, whenever, I hear someone at your age, just working at it, and a couple of men that I talk to, who are really focused on that and the family values, and being a good husband, and being a godly man as well, and that's so important, man. And I think, when I first met my wife, I was 18, and she says, when I was 17 and she was 16 or something like that. But the first day I asked her to marry me.
Yeah.
First day. I wasn't playing around. I was like done with life, man. I did so
Yeah.
much crazy things. I seen crazy things, and I was
Yeah.
like, gave my life to God. And I was like, you're the one, and that's it. So I've been with
Yeah.
my wife for 25 years, and
Congrats on that too.
yeah, man. But and again, it's not. I always tell people, look, numbers don't matter.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can be with somebody for 25 years and have a horrible
Yeah.
relationship with your spouse. Um, but what keeps me and my wife together is, again, you're gonna have love. That's important, right? But it's having Christ at the center of all that,
Yeah.
because whatever happens in your relationship, me and my wife, we had our ups and downs and all that. But whatever happens in a relationship, you can always come to that source. You
Yeah.
can always come to God, because you're always going to look at each other and say, you know what? I made the mistake.
Yeah.
I screwed up. I spoke to you in a certain way that wasn't right.
Yeah.
And you're always going to come to that conclusion. You're always going to come back to the word.
Yeah.
So that's the most important thing. Invest in your relationship. Is it easy? No. But if you build with somebody that understands and loves God the same way you do, it's an amazing journey, man.
Yeah.
It's an amazing journey. Me and my wife, we have a long way to go still.
Yeah.
And we're still working at it, but I don't regret it. And again, I say this not to boast or to kind of put myself out there like, oh, you're a perfect guy. No, far from being perfect. But, I've never cheated on my wife, never had to do anything that, was going to, dishonor her
Yeah.
in that aspect. But again, it is hard because you're bombarded left and right. You see girls here in Miami, it's like, whoa, what's
Yeah.
going on
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
And, but it's not worth it, man.
Yeah. Not
It's
at all.
not worth it, man. Because what God has in store for us,
Yeah.
the blessings that he has for us, man, is way beyond that you can imagine, man. And
Yeah.
and that's what we need, man. We need to establish that family values, our business values, all that, man, because he's gonna bless us tremendously,
I always tell young guys, I'm like, don't give up a great life over a good night.
Oh yeah, man. I
It
love
does,
that one,
yeah,
man.
it's
Hey, that should be a
women.
shirt, bro.
Yeah, literally. That's women drinking and whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you might have fun for 2 minutes, 2 hours.
Man. Doesn't last, bro.
Doesn't last. Then you give up your whole. You might spend a night. You might spend the rest of your life in jail because of poor decisions you make drinking and driving. Or
Yeah.
nothing good happens after midnight or anything like that.
Yeah,
Almost
absolutely not.
just
man.
do. And everybody's been there. You know what I mean? Or I guess I shouldn't say drinking and driving, but like just dark thoughts and like that carnal mind, that carnal spirit. We're all human. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like those temptations.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you.
Yeah, man. And again, I think, us, having our podcast and having these discussions, I think, again, this is why I love the platform, because it does encourage others to look at this and say, maybe that's the path I should
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a different direction, because I always tell people, don't make decisions based on your circumstances. Don't, because some girls, I have talks with some of the girls, and they're like, oh, I don't trust men and this and that. And I asked the question, so what happened? Like, oh, he cheated on me and this and that. I'm like, okay, so because of your bad experience that one time,
Yeah. You cut yourself off.
you cut yourself off, right?
Yeah.
So you're using an experience, and now you're saying all men are pigs.
Yeah.
And it's like, now you're making that your truth.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous. So don't use your past experience. And
Yeah.
that's something I do to myself. I went through some really traumatic things as a kid.
Yeah.
And I have to question myself every time I'm going to make a decision, every time I'm having a conversation. I have to be like, is that something that's coming from the past of my experience, and I'm making that the truth?
Yeah.
So that's why you have to question yourself and be like, you know what? I had a bad experience. So it doesn't mean that person is a bad person.
Yeah. 1,000%.
So again, I think, having these conversations are important. And bro, I'm super happy that we had this conversation,
Yeah.
man. And it just so encouraging because I'm like, man, another brother
Yeah.
in the battlefield,
Amen.
you know, spreading the gospel,
Yeah.
with your experience, man. And I'm just so grateful, man, to have you on the podcast, man.
Grateful that you have me, bro. Seriously.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So again, bro, where can people find you? And
Yeah.
if you had a message to tell a young guy, because I started sponsoring young kids.
Yeah.
I started a podcast for them. They're juniors.
Okay.
And I'm going to basically train them how to use content,
Yeah.
and be a voice. And
Yeah.
it's amazing what's happening, man. These kids are just on fire. They want to spread the gospel. They want to start sharing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sponsor them, and they're going to have their own podcast. And what would you say to them or to any young kid that's out there that wants to be a voice and wants to impact the world?
I would say something that I wish I would have had even sooner is to be patient with your mom and your dad. If you still have your mom and your dad, you know what I mean? Like, praise God, I still have my mom and my dad. Regardless of the past that you experienced with them and the things that they experienced, because all parents are, all adults are, all we all are is just broken kids that grew up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, imagine your mom, your dad was a teenager just like you, and they went through, tragedies, and they had traumas just
That's
like
right.
you. And it's like, they don't forget them, they forgive them, and they grow through them, but they have their own quirks and their own pain, and they did the best they could to raise you, and they did raise you successfully, because an unsuccessful raising would have resulted in you dying. You're not dead, you're watching this. So I'd say in addition to that patience, to help you be more patient with them, is you take out a calculator right now. Today's Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got 52 Mondays in a year and your parents are in their 60s, 70s, whatever, life expectancy is roughly 85, 86. I'm in
Yeah.
insurance. So
Yeah.
if you take 52 and you multiply it by 10, they have 520 Mondays left. So
Damn, that puts things in perspective, bro.
it puts things into
Wow.
perspective. Even in my 20s, I think I've only got, hypothetically based off of all this math, it's only like 10,000. I don't know. It's not that many. It's not that many days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not as much as we think it is. Life is very precious, but it's that's what it is. It's precious. It's
Yeah.
finite. So it helps you appreciate life more. And I think appreciation and gratitude then transforms and translates into you actually doing productive things with your life. It doesn't have to be you go be a billionaire, but you go be the best whatever you're going to be, and be the best son and the best brother and the best future, husband, whatever you're going to do. But keep it in perspective, keep it in the back of your mind, take that calculator out and realize, the days are just ticking
man.
away. It brings a reality to it.
Absolutely, man.
know?
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that perspective. Whenever it comes down to numbers, man, you're like, whoa, damn.
Yeah.
That's a short. That's
Yeah,
a
you
short
start looking
time.
at them numbers, man. It's like I call
Yeah.
my mom, like, I love you.
Yeah, man.
You're the
That's
greatest
why sometimes
ever.
we have to remind ourselves, man, we are just dust, bro.
Literally.
We're here just for a moment, man.
Yeah.
And that's why we take advantage of the time. Be grateful for every moment that you're breathing,
Yeah.
and be grateful, man, and just make a difference every single day. A previous guest that I had, I asked him about legacy,
Yeah.
and he changed my perspective on legacy. And I said, what do you think about legacy? He says, my legacy is 24 hours. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do in 24 hours? I try not to think about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Past, just 24 hours. I was
That's
like,
good. That's good.
yeah. Because, I died. And not
Yeah.
much people are going to remember me, but
Yeah.
it's like, what can you do in those 24 hours? What
Yeah.
message are you going to leave? So that kind of changed a little bit of my perspective of that. But
That's
yeah,
fire.
man. Tristan, man, again, man, I'm just so grateful. Handles? Where can people find you?
The easiest one would be my Instagram, Windy City Tristan, because everything's through there. So just go to my
Awesome, bro.
Instagram, Windy City Tristan, if you need anything.
Dope. And life insurance, man.
Yeah.
Got to get into that, man.
Yeah.
I messed up, man.
You want to get it the
completely
younger you are, the
yeah,
better.
man. I freaking
Yeah.
later I'll talk to you a
Yeah,
little bit more about
absolutely.
that, man. But I think it's super important. There's a lot of advantages of
Yeah.
having a life insurance.
Infinite banking.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. That's the next podcast.
Yeah, we'll do it.
All
Fire.
right, brother. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, brother.
Yes, sir.